WV Uncommon Place. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts. Along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episodes. The Uncommon Place digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to our Uncommon Place.
Whoa. I just hopped in the chair wrong. West Virginia Commonplace. I am JR, one of the hosts of the show. And wrapping up these podcaster for podcaster episodes that I'm doing, we're just going to take a look back real quick. And I'm going to add in a few things that I didn't talk about so that we can get those things out of the way too. We talked about sponsorship and advertising. Definitely make sure you check out both of those episodes so that you can get a grip on how you can do certain things with it and figure out the best modes and methods for you. One thing we didn't talk about was merchandise sales. Merchandise sales are a wild adventure that you can go on. We started off with a limited run doing things in-house, then eventually we moved over to a drop ship, and then we still do custom stuff, and the custom stuff is where it's at, I think, if you got the machines and you have the time for that. If you don't have the time, definitely look at Teespring and one of those other places like that. Paid subscriptions. I touched on it but didn't talk about it. Apple and Spotify have ecosystems for you to make money off paid subscriptions. In turn, you can tie those in with Patreon and deliver content in tiers over there. I personally was not able to get Patreon to work to my liking, so I don't use Patreon, but I'm not telling you not to, because there's a lot of successful people that use it. And it seems like it's probably one of the most viable places that people make money with podcasting. Crowdfunding, another thing that I've never done, but I hear people use it with Kickstarter and stuff like that. I don't have an issue with it, but it's something that Kickstarter personally to me is just something I couldn't fathom using that to take care of my show. But to each his own on that one. Crowdfunding from that, or even from Patreon, there's all kinds of platforms that you can use if you need the help, or if that's the way that you want your listeners to support your show. More power to you. Another revenue dropping thing that I've only done a few times. It's like actual, not face to face, but I've hosted live events, which are like the meet and greets and different things like that. We've done 4 live shows. The live shows, with tapping into it, we didn't charge anything crazy. We charged $1 to come into the live show. Live events, in the live event, I'm saying like we did it on Twitch or somewhere. Live events are a way to generate money, and they work in this sense like this. That gives a certain type of intimacy, and it shows the flaws in the human character of the person. Also, I've seen that a podcast did a live show in Virginia, and they had a strong showing for that. Another thing we talked about is affiliate marketing, and went to the depths of that, so definitely check that episode out. And went over just different tactics that can help you get to where you're going. So the thing that all social media gurus say, and one thing I'm going to agree with, is in the beginning, build your audience, produce a high quality show. So when I say produce a high quality show, I'm going to go into the depths of high quality shows. Now, this is subject to my own opinion, so you have to be very careful with that, because you can take my opinion, you can misconstrue it, you can take any connotation that you want and make that into the statement that I am about to make next. High quality content is an opinionated statement. Using the email list actually figuring out the hardest part of podcasting, which is identifying your audience and being able to bring your audience to a landing place that they all want to meet at, or you can meet them on different areas, like I said before, hitting over to Discord, hitting over to whatever landing place that your people are. When they give you the first opinions on the content, that means, good, bad, or negative, that they feel that your content has merit. Making high quality content is a hard thing to do, because there are podcasters right now that are listening to this show that don't get a response and don't know how their listeners feel about their show. They just put out content and they don't know. High quality content, to me, in my form and in my opinion, is me knowing that the audience, the people that are listening, which is the audience, feel that this is the content they like. When they tell me or give me improvement, it's to bring it to a different quality that I have not achieved yet. Certain episodes I do because of audio quality, like if I'm using Zoom and something happens and it messes up, and I'm talking about Zoom, the video thing, I'm not talking about my Zoom recorder, because that thing works like a beast. We don't have issues with these at all. We can record all day on them. Don't even use computers, but that's another day for another story. Now, the key thing with that quality content is knowing when something is no longer of quality for your show. A great example of this is we produce amazing episodes called Podcast Collides. And we were doing them with podcasters of my choosing. I would go listen to their show. And I was like, oh, this is awesome, blah, 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 blah. Well, we use an app called Verbal, which we get voicemails on, and people tell me their opinions. Well, after a while, people were like, we like the people when they're on your show, but when we go listen to their show, it's not that we don't like their show, is that they don't have that same energy they had when they were on the show with you. So the listeners I have made it very open and said, make it more open and not so podcasty. And I didn't know what the word podcasty meant, but like, not make it so technical. Feel free, make it like the friendly conversation that you're going to have with Stacy, or the conversation you're going to have with Toledo Mike, or Dash and Daryl, or whoever. So what I went in and decided was that we have to kill off Podcast Collides, because it's not beneficial to me or to the podcaster I'm doing the show with, because my listeners are not migrating to their show. Hard pill for me to swallow, because a lot of those episodes had good quality and content, but it was necessary to keep going forward. So that's what I'm saying with, even though it may be high quality content to you, and this is something that Stacy says to me numerous times. Stacy beats this down my throat all the time. Just because I think it's something doesn't mean that it's not going to be great content for someone else. So with high quality content, make sure you got people around that'll actually go listen. I have a lady that is devoted to my show. I send her anything we record before it comes out, and she listens to it, and she tells me if it's too promotional or if it's inauthentic, and if it's trash. So she gives me those 3 negative things across the top. And I said overly promotional, inauthentic, or if it's just trash. I have episodes that I've had to delete and throw away because they were trash, or as I like to say, dumpster juice. So that high quality there, that's what's attractive, and that's what brings in the sponsors, and that was what keeps the revenue streams going or gets them started. So like in my case, even right now, we're in a rebuilding phase for the show, and I'm tweaking things and we're doing things a little different so that we can build a better base to get more revenue for the show. Just like with doing these episodes that I'm doing right now. These right here are a labor of love for me because I like them. And just the hardest thing that I want to put out here is making money inside podcasting is challenging. It is very hard to do. And sometimes you come up short. So you have to be very careful with the time and effort you put in after you've had a failure, because some people pod fade and quit because they think right there in the beginning that they're going to make money. But remember, it's challenging. The easiest thing you can do in podcasting is make money outside of podcasting. If you sell a service or something like that, that's where so many people make these six figures and all this money from. And this is not what's explained to you when you hear these social media gurus. They tell you that podcasting helps you make money. Podcasting is an advertising stream, but these people have a service. They have something that they're offering to people beyond just a movie review, beyond me talking to a life coach, beyond me being a talk show host. Because being a talk show host in podcasting does not make you any money unless you're Joe Rogan. So that's the key thing that I just want to get passed along and pushed out here so that people don't have these hardships and this heartache that I went through. Because I thought just because I have a good topic, I have a great guest on, that's going to always translate into revenue. And that is not the case. It comes back to all the mitigating factors and different things that I've talked about over these last 4 episodes that build you and that will make you an authority figure to people, and people will want to come to you and they will want to constantly come back to you. And when you don't let these things come organically, because you can push things, that's something that I won't go on a tangent on, but I'll say this. If you don't let things grow organically, or you don't put a lot of fortitude in what you do, you will see the bad portions of podcasting. You'll see where these people generate high numbers and high things, and, they don't make any revenue. Like some of the biggest podcasters, there's podcasters that have way better quality shows than me that have never made a dime. And they put in tons of money and all this other stuff, and they want to monetize. I'm not talking about hobbyist podcasters. That's not the case. It's just these people set themselves up to think that all the money that they can make is inside podcasting, when all the money that every person makes that tells you anything that's on Instagram is money they made outside podcasting. Podcasting was just a general agent to advertise what they wanted to sell you. So please, when you're doing this in the beginning, the middle, or wherever you are in podcasting, just know that challenging period is what makes or breaks you in monetization. No one will tell you that. No one wants you to hear that, because they all want to sell you on a dream. But the dream I want to give you is this: a reality. A reality where you can see what you're doing. You can put it in a fashion that works for you, and you can see those type of results that you believe that you should have. It started with step 1 with affiliate marketing, and along with email marketing at the same time. From there, when you see where you can go with it, if you have a after part of podcasting, which means beyond the show notes, means a technical communication with your audience, not them just listening, not them just liking something on Instagram. Then you carry it over to those other facets. You look at paid subscriptions, you look at merchandise sales, you look at crowdfunding, you look at live events, you look at all these things that you can do outside of your podcast, but still inside, and still keeping that quality of content by getting feedback from your listeners. This goes way further than you posting that ad or that meme or whatever you're doing or whatever you made on Canva or wherever you made it 150 million times. And there are tools, artificial intelligence, and different things to streamline it. Google, do your research, and find the things that make the process an ease. And once you do that, and you follow some of those tactics, no matter how they fall for you, just the key things that I'll point out there, you look at that affiliate marketing to see if you have growth outside of your podcast. You do the email marketing to actually see your audience. You tally up listening migration, which listening migration is very simple. How many of those people left TikTok and went to my podcast? How many people left Instagram and went to my podcast? Do the QR codes work good enough to make people go to the link tree and find their place inside my podcast? How am I generating a promotion with the least effort? In my case, Stacy came up with an amazing idea of the QR code. We took those QR codes, I placed them strategically across the United States through partnerships, which is that collaboration I talk about in one of these episodes. And we went from there. Using certain services to find certain guests that are targeted to what I want, such as Podmatch. I will give Alex Sanfilippo the greatest respect for providing that kind of content for people. And that's not him endorsing me. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. It's just clearly seeing that he has a service that does work for our system. Other people can work for you, be it Matchmaker or whoever you want to use, or if you just randomly find your guests on Instagram. Not telling you how to produce or make your show. I'm just giving you the simple tactics to how your show can be profitable inside podcasting, and the way that everybody else tells you about how your podcasting can be successful outside of podcasting. And on that note, I'm JR from West Virginia on Commonplace. Definitely listen to the outro. It'll tell you how you can meet and greet us, and we're going to have some spectacular stuff coming real soon.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at onecommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.